Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you how to make VETKOEK, AMAGWINYA, or as I say, AMAGWINYA. So, there's actually a recipe on here, but I never follow the proper recipe. I actually just always eyeball it, so that's what I've learned from my mom, by always just being in the kitchen every time she's there, I'm there, also making my small magunya, small VETKOEK. So I'm going to show you what I remember, or how I do it. Don't have to do it the same way, but let's make sure you have all the ingredients. What you're gonna need is flour, some salt for the taste, some lukewarm water in here, and then let me just get some oil, the oil crown, and then the last ingredient, not the last one, but on it. Also going to need yeast. So you start off by, so I used half a pack last week, so I'm going to use the rest of this today. Make sure that you either have more flour left, or you keep some for the end of the process. I'm going to just use all of this because I have more flour. So yeah, let's start. While I'm busy, normally I either watch something or listen to music, but we have load shedding, so the podcast, shout out to the podcast, is now not playing properly because load shedding. So yeah, what you do is, first of all, put in all the flour. This is probably this is 2.5 kg. I'm assuming it's probably 1.25, so it's half. So I just use all of it so I can keep too much left. Then after that, I will throw this away later. After that, you are going to add your salt. Add a little bit of salt so it doesn't taste too fresh. As in Afrikaans, het proef vars. And then after that, obviously my hands are clean, I just washed my hands, and going to use some sugar. Some people actually like a sweet magunya, other people like it more savory. I just eyeball it. In the past I used a lot of sugar, and now I'm kind of just reducing the amount of sugar. What I like to do is put the yeast on top of the sugar. This is just me, maybe it's gonna mix anyway. But what I like to do, because I know there's a reaction between the sugar and the yeast, and that makes the flour, actually the dough, actually raise or increase in size. So yeah, I put the whole pack of yeast in, add it there for the volume, for the grace, for the raisedness. Like, I hope my pay gets raised. Maybe I should put yeast in my pay. That's silly. Anyway, what I used to do in the past is use my hands, because I saw my mom doing that. However, sometimes it gets a bit sticky. It's just a process. So I got my friend Hoodie Woodpecker to help me. The lukewarm water helps actually for the activation of the yeast. So cold water, I'm sure you can use that, but the lukewarm water makes it easier for the reaction to take place quicker. It's a catalyst for the yeast and sugar reaction. So you're going to, camera lady, can you just come closer? You're gonna pour some water on and just start stirring it in. Please be sure not to add too much water or to have your water too hot. The moment it's too hot, you're going to have too many, it's gonna clump together, you're gonna have lumps. So you want to have like a smooth consistency throughout, but we'll see now. So as you put in the water, obviously you start off by a few. It's not gonna look nice in the beginning, but that's the whole point. You need to mix. I guess you can learn life lessons from making food. Everything doesn't have to look nice in the beginning, but at the end, everything works out. So yeah, I start stirring, just mixing it all together, incorporating all the dry ingredients. I'm sure there's gonna be variations from person to person. Some people maybe want to add some baking powder, but personally I've never cooked or baked with baking powder before. So I'm not too sure about the baking powder. So as you can see, it's lumping together a little bit. Whoops! Apologies. Got a spill there. But yeah, that's part of the process. Also, if possible, put something on your hair so that your hair doesn't get involved into the mix, because you don't want to make fat hair, you want to make VETKOEK. So yeah, as you can see, if you can come closer, you can see it's lumping a bit together. So you know you can add either more water, but remember not to make it too wet, because you're still going to add some oil. So the oil actually helps for the dough mixture to not to stick to the plastic. I'll show you later on what's gonna happen. So yeah, can add a little bit more water, because I see it has a little bit of the consistency that you want. Some people prefer, and I've tried it before, the more what's the word now? Not runny, but the more hoe papper die deeg, hoe lekkerder smaak die brood. Hy is die beste manier hoe ek dit kan sê. So the softer the dough is, the better it's gonna be in terms of the raising process. Is it even raising? I just know in Afrikaans it means it rise. At a certain point, like this for example, when you see your thing is coming together now, you can and should add your oil. Because at the end of the day, this process is now done. You have incorporated all the yeast into the mixture. And you can now raise this a little bit and add your crown. You can obviously use like olive oil, extra virgin. If you're not like a normal virgin, you're extra one. Extraterrestrial. Jokes. Anyway, so you add the oil. Make sure not to add too much oil also. I kind of eyeball it, because I've never seen my mom using any measuring cup. Well, didn't have money for measuring cups. And at this point, you might have to use your hands. But that's okay, because you use one clean hand to actually move the bowl. I'm using a pot because I don't have a bowl. But you can use whatever you have at your disposal. Make sure that you incorporate it nicely. Make sure that all the lumps are out and about. You don't have a lot of lumps. Give it some love, as they say here. Money, so don't be afraid to use and abuse. So yeah, just give it some love. You will feel the consistency. It will become smoother over the course of your kneading process. So what you're trying to do is get it as soft as possible, but also firm enough to stick together. Don't want a runny dough, it's not gonna thingy nice. Whoops! Not gonna raise nice. After you feel satisfied, some people spend like a lot of time on this process, but after you feel satisfied with your dough, you can leave it in the center of your pot. And then I feel satisfied with this. But then you leave it at the center of your pot or your bowl, whatever dish you used. And here we go. I feel this is going to double in size. It's load shedding now, so there's no point in me being in a rush, because after load shedding will be actually enough time to allow it to raise or to rise. What is it, raise or rise? Irrespective of that. Then I'm gonna leave this here to double in size. Also, very important point, I made this mistake before. When you do knead your dough, make sure not to keep it in the incubation period too long, because what tends to happen is that the dough and the yeast and the sugar reacts, and as we all know, komboti, that yeast and the sugars creates alcohol. So you can actually create alcohol from magwinya or from bread if you keep it in too long. So what I've seen my mom do is take a plastic sleeve thingy-mabob, put it over. This is simply to create an incubation space for the dough to keep it warm. You will also feel while you're kneading the dough that it is warm. It is a bit warmer than normal, and it will even be more warm after the end of the process. I saw this bag now tall, but that's fine. That's okay. You can actually put another bag over to make sure that all the heat is trapped, because the heat is going to make the process even quicker. And that's what we want. We want a steady process, but not too long as well. We want to be able to finish. And what I've seen also my mom do is put this under a blanket to keep it even warmer. So yeah, we will be back after the increase of the size. May your life increase, may your salary increase like this dough. See you in a little bit. Alright, welcome back. Now for the big reveal. Let's see what happened, if it actually rose. Hey Lazarus, if it actually rose. So let's have a look. Come on, look, come closer, come closer. Ooh, I don't know if you guys can recall how it looked in the beginning. I smell a little bit of an alcohol-y consistency, and I think because I was away for a little bit, and that resulted in me having to keep it for a little time, but longer than I expected. So yeah, you can see a lot of air bubbles. Usually what I like to do for satisfaction. Hiya! Anyway. Alright, after the deflation, that's how it looks. I just incorporate it again. I'm gonna have to use the pot to fry it in, because I don't have a big enough frying pan. But what I'm gonna do is just get it all out of the pot, clean the pot real quick, and then from there just start making my round shapes. Make my shapes. So yeah, we're going to transfer all of that into another bowl or a dish. I will sort that out in a bit. Just wanna get the pot cleaned. If you are going to do it yourself, you'll feel there's a warmth to the dough, and that's from the reaction from the yeast and the sugar and the lukewarm water, as I mentioned earlier. And I don't know if you guys remember, but I said that the alcohol can be formed, but luckily because it's that higher heat, the alcohol will just disappear. Because alcohol boiling point is much, it will evaporate. Boiling point is lower than most cooking things like water. That's why when people cook with wine and stuff like that, the actual wine is not, the food is not, you know, damaged or contaminated with alcohol, because the alcohol evaporates. So the same will happen here. I'm just going to clean the pot. I will be right back. After transferring the dough into the bowl, now I'm going to transfer it back out onto the flour. I dusted some flour on here, and the reason for this is to make the dough not stick to the surface or to your hands for that matter, because as you can see, I'm having difficulty making it not stick to my hands. My mom used to make it in a rectangular shape, but I've learned that there are other shapes you can make, like round ones, and it actually seems to work out very nice that way as well. So there's not necessarily a right or a wrong way. It's just that I was used to a rectangular shape, and then maybe even triangles, but then I've learned there are other ways. And that's also another lesson. There's not just one way to do things. There are many other ways you can do things and maybe even do it better. So yeah, so there we go. I've put some oil, if you can come closer, put some oil in the pot already. So what I did is put in some oil, just heating it up real quick. While that's heating up, I'm gonna go back to making my circly circles. If you feel like you have too little flour here for the dusting process, you can obviously add more flour, but remember, this is not to add to the process, to add to the dough. It's just to dust it off a little so it doesn't stick to your hand or stick to the pan while you are busy frying. You are the fryer. So every time I make VETKOEK or bake, I tend to learn something new or just change the process slightly. Not because I want to, just from how it seems to pan out. So yeah, I try also, very important, try to keep the thickness the same and also the shape the same, because then you know how much time it's gonna take for each one to finish. So you don't overcook or over fry for that matter. One magwinya or VETKOEK. So make sure that you try and keep, as you saw earlier with the previous one, I also took out the part, a piece, and that's fine as long as you maintain the same shape and thickness. Because remember, I'm gonna put this not by itself, it's gonna be others as well, so you want to keep the same thickness and size so that you can get them to be in the oil or the frying pan, whatever you're gonna use, for the same amount of time. So yeah, we will start with the frying soon. Just want to get my bowls or my, I don't know what you call this, discs ready here again. And this is just to check if the oil is ready, because you can't use your finger obviously. So the moment it starts bubbling, as you can see there, oh my pot, as you can see it's bubbling, that is a clear indication that the oil is ready. The oil is ready. As if these two are the same size and the same thickness, width. Try and keep them the same size. You can come closer so you can see how I'm just depositing them in. You can see, oh, the bubbles, the bubble bath. Let's go. My mom, her using the fork. Also, what I've noticed last week, what I did was I washed the top part with the oil. Let me just check where my spatula is. So what I did is I washed the top part with the oil, as you can see, which gave a nice crust on the top and cooked it quicker, I would say. Or just a different technique that I used last week that I seem to also use today. And you will see that you will develop a crust at the top and at the bottom. Sometimes, and here's the art, I would say, you will have to check at the bottom, but excuse me, when it's right, try. My mom used to poke in some holes for air to flow, I'm sure, but then when it's browning like that at the bottom, you are definitely heading towards the right direction. And then you can just lift them to see how far they are. If it's brown like that, you can start turning. If you feel it's baking too quickly or frying too quickly, you can always reduce the heat. I made a mistake also last week. I poked too many holes in the VETKOEK. I poked too many holes into the magwinyas, which led to the oil draining into the dough, making it, whoops, be careful there, making it a lot harder. So don't try not to poke too much holes in it, just leave it as is. Just check continuously to make sure that it's cooked on both sides. After these ones are done, I will continue with the rest and we'll have taste test as soon as they are done. So yeah. You ready? Started already. Alright, so we're done. We have the final product. Also, always a learning curve. I'll tell you what the learning curve is now. So, ladies and gentlemen, so we have the final product right here, right there, and right here. So we're gonna cut it open. It's still a little warm, so just let it rest also for a little bit, because if it's warm, it's still a little, how should I say, it's still a little almost wet because of the steam. Still needs to release the steam. But if I can give myself constructive criticism, I would say put the temperature or the heat of the oil, just put it on medium, because if you put it too high, the outside cooks very quickly and then the interior, the insides are still very wet. This seems fine. I'll taste it now to see. I'll give you an honest review, and but I can feel feels a bit more doughy. I'll see with the rest because this is still warm. I'll see if it's going to be okay. So yeah, I prefer butter and jam because I think it's just a childhood thing. Memories coming from school, my mom having baked or fried some VETKOEKs, and me sitting in front of the TV watching Cool Cats. Whew. Where are the days before bills and bonds? Yeah. Anyway, so I like it warm because the butter still melts a little bit. So, and then I'm gonna give it a honest review. I think I might have been a bit in a rush in terms of the temperature of the oil, but besides that, it seems okay. It seems very well done, at least on the exterior. But all lies in the pudding of the proof. The proof is in the pudding. The proof of the pudding is in the tasting. The proof of the VETKOEK is in the tasting. So let's see. Thank you, Lord, for the food. Let's go, buddy. Amen. Let's taste. It's not like my mom, I'm not gonna lie. But this is the real deal. The real deal. I would say the temperature is put in medium high, so it doesn't overcook the exterior, as you can see it right here. But other than that, man, I wish you guys could taste. It's good. Thank you for watching. Hopefully next time I'll bake some bread and show you guys how I bake bread. And if you have anything to comment, to mention, feel free, because I'm always learning. Everything to me is an experiment. If I'm not gonna learn, then what's the point? So thank you for watching. Next time, try to bake bread and keep my temperature low. Thank you so much. I don't know.